But of course, we still have our invited expert evaluators. We still have Dr. Cadiente and Dr. Macalde. So again, we are reminding our dear participants to please switch off your microphone, for we are about to start our afternoon session. Okay, thank you so much. So for this afternoon session, we have in the field of information technology, computer science, we have Mr. Eric O. Santasing. Mr. Singh finished his bachelor degree in information technology at Leyte Institute of Technology and earned his Master of Science in Information Technology in 2015 at Eastern-Visayas State University main campus. Currently, he is teaching as an instructor 1 in EVHEIs. Next, we have for agriculture, fisheries, and marine biology, we have Art Russell Flandes. Mr. Flandes graduated with the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biology from Visayas State University and took graduate courses in the Master of Science Marine Biology program at the University of San Carlos, Cebu City. He has been teaching biological science courses since 2006. And in 2012, he obtained his master's degree in marine and lacustine science and management from 3 Flemish universities in the Kingdom of Belgium. We have Vrije Universiteit in Brussels, Universiteit Gent, and Universiteit Antwerpen. His researches cover both marine and lacustine sciences. He is particularly interested in the biodiversity and ecology of reef fishes. He is an advanced open water diver and enjoys nature photography. Next, we have for our next presenter for the accounting, business, and management from the University of Eastern Philippines. In the field of accounting, business, and management, we have Ms. Darlene Joy Udtuhan. She graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Management at the University of the Philippines, Visayas Tacloban College. She took Master in Business Administration at the University of Eastern Philippines in 2014 and is currently taking up her Doctor in Management Technology major in Business Management at Eastern-Visayas State University. And for health education, we have Honey Romero from Biliran Province State University. Mr. Romero is a registered nurse and intravenous therapy nurse by profession. He graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing at the University of Southern Philippines Foundation. Currently, he is a candidate of Master of Arts in Nursing, major in Nursing Service Administration at Southwestern University. And to complete our 10 presenters, we have in the field of maritime education from Palompon Institute of Technology, we have Ms. Daisy Mar Pinones Pitoy. Ms. Pitoy worked as a seafarer on board in international going vessels for several years and served as an officer in charge for a navigational watch. She is currently employed as an instructor in Marine Transportation Department in the College of Maritime Education in Palompon Institute of Technology. She teaches maritime courses such as maritime communication, meteorology and oceanography, navigation, and deck watch keeping. And for our evaluators this afternoon, for information technology computer science, we have Ms. Christy Carpon from Northwest Samar State University. Ms. Carpon is an instructor from the Northwest Samar State University and she took her bachelor's degree in computer science in 2010, and completed her MS in information technology in 2017 in the same university. To give his review, comments, or suggestions and evaluation for agriculture, fisheries, and marine biology presentation, we have Dr. Ronely Salvador from University of Eastern Philippines. Dr. Salvador took his bachelor degree in fisheries at the University of Eastern Philippines. He completed his postgraduate studies in MS Fisheries and Doctor of Philosophy in Fisheries at the University of the Philippines, Visayas. For accounting, business, and management discipline, we have Dr. Vicente Soltillo Jr. as our evaluator. Dr. Soltillo obtained his Bachelor of Business Administration, major in Management and Accountancy at the University of the Philippines in the Visayas Tacloban College. He completed his Bachelor of Laws, Master in Public Management, and Doctor in Management degree at the Biliran Province State University. He is a holder of NC3 in bookkeeping and a LET passer. He honed his expertise through his work experience. Formerly, he worked in Philippine National Bank and was assigned to different positions. As a cashier then, he taught accountancy, business, and management at the Department of Education. Currently, he is teaching in the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration Department of the Biliran Province State University. Likewise, he has published and presented a number of researches in various international forums. He is currently designated as a chairperson of the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration Department of Biliran Province State University. And for the health education, our evaluator is Dr. Joel Ray Acob from Visayas State University. Dr. Acob graduated Bachelor of Science in Nursing in San Lorenzo Ruiz College, Ormoc City. He completed his Master of Arts in Nursing, major in Medical Surgical Nursing in Southwestern University, and took his PhD in Nursing at St. Paul University. Dr. Acob is the proponent of the first Filipino-oriented validated elderly abuse assessment tool and has published numerous researches in the international publications. Moreover, he is a recipient of the 2020 Distinguished Nursing Educator Award, an award given to exemplary nurse educators as acclaimed by the New Delhi Society. Currently, Dr. Acob is the Dean of the College of Nursing in Visayas State University and a regular paper reviewer of the Nursing and Midwifery Journal of Health and Management in Indonesia. He is also the current chief editor of the Alliance of Health Activists Journal Advancements, a peer-reviewed journal for nursing, education, and management. And for our maritime education, to evaluate the presentation, we have Mr. Shok Bronner. His Christian name is Gregorius Laurentius Maria Brower. He is an invited guest, and hopefully I have pronounced his name properly and correctly. Mr. Brower is an educator, chief marine engineer, and manager rolled into one. His work experience from 1982 to 2002 as a marine engineer with several Dutch shipping companies has brought him to the highest position as chief engineer. From 2002 to 2013, he taught physics, chemistry, and biology and ICT studies at Zoderzee College, Emmeloord, Limmer, after which he went back seafaring as chief engineer with Wagenboard Shipping. In 2015 to 2019, he became a senior teacher in maritime engineering subjects at the STC International or International Maritime College of Oman. Since January 2019 until at present, he is the project manager and general manager of STC International at the Koninklijke Vereniging van Netherlands Readers, or KVNRPIT Palompon Project, Netherlands Shipping Training Center, and he speaks Dutch, English, and German. So there you are, our presenters and evaluators this afternoon. And of course, we have joining with us still our invited expert evaluators, Dr. Glenda Gadiente and Dr. Robertino Macalde. So to start the ball rolling, we have our first presenter this afternoon for Science and Mathematics. We have Engineer Peter Anthony C. Pitilia. Okay, here is his presentation.
I'm going to ask you first if it's okay for you for, I'm going to record this video chat. Is it okay? Just let me see your thumbs up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's loud and clear.
Okay, so since this is a new week, I'm going to, of course, we're going to have a new lesson. Let me access my Moodle file. Okay. If you look at the screen, there's a joke here, a sort of joke. So the girl says, "How do I look?" The boy said, "Tangent C over cosine over sine C." The girl said, "Huh?" The girl didn't understand what the boy means. So the boy replied, "Tangent C over sine C is equal to sine C over cosine C all over sine C." And then he canceled the sine C from the numerator and denominator, so he's left with 1 over cosine C. It's an identity, so the answer is sec C. So when the girl said, "How do I look?" the boy's answer is sexy. Okay, so this is actually our lesson for this time, no? So we're going to have the derivatives of the trigonometric functions. Okay. So there are, of course, you know that there are 6 derivatives of trigonometric functions, starting with the derivative of sine u with respect to x, so that is cosine u, then take the derivative of u with respect to x. Okay, the second function is the derivative of cosine u with respect to x, so that's negative sine u, the derivative of u with respect to x. Third function is the derivative of tangent u with respect to x, so that is secant squared u times the derivative of u with respect to x. Now, the next is the derivative of cosecant u with respect to x. So that's negative cosecant u cotangent u, derivative of u with respect to x. Next is that of the derivative of secant u with respect to x. It's secant u tangent u, derivative of u with respect to x. And the last one is the derivative of cotangent u with respect to x. That is negative cosecant u, derivative of u with respect to x. Now, if you notice, there are red fonts here, or red text here, which is actually a very good thing you should remember if you try to memorize the derivatives of these functions. These are common, all the negative derivatives are common for those functions which start with letter C. So if you notice, cosine, the derivative is negative sine. Cosecant, the derivative is also negative. as well as cotangent, the derivative is also negative. Of course, those which are not starting with letter C, their derivatives are positive. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, another one, you should always remember the pairing of cotangent and its reciprocal cotangent. If you look at their derivatives, the derivative of tangent is secant squared. So that's in violet. And the same way for derivative of cotangent, that's also that's with a power of 2 or square. And since it's C, starts with C, of course, it's negative. Okay, so the third thing is the derivative of cosecant u and secant u. So just remember, cosecant and secant, they all have secant in their function. Their derivative starts with the function itself times another function. So in the case of cosecant u, it's negative since it starts with letter C. Cosecant u, cotangent u, du over dx. And for secant u, it's secant u, tangent u, du over dx. So those are things which you should always remember, so that every time you use the trigonometric functions, it will just be spontaneous in answering the problems. Okay? So let's start with the first example. Number 1, f of x is equal to 4 sine x minus 5 tangent x. Okay? So derivative f prime of x, or we commonly write this one also as y prime. So 4, we know that if there's a constant, you just leave it there and take the derivative of sine x, which is cosine x, and then minus 5. The derivative of tangent x is positive secant squared x. So of course, you have to multiply. So negative 5 secant squared x. Okay. Now let's have the next one. F of x is equal to 7 secant x plus 5 cosine x. Okay, it's derivative. Copy the 7. The derivative of secant is secant x tangent x plus 5. And the derivative of the cosine is negative sine x. This is the common mistake of students. So when you write something wherein there's a negative in the answer, you should always make sure that you enclose that one in a grouping sign, so that it will not appear to be 5 minus sine x, because this is multiplication, diba? So that's 5 times, or the quantity, negative sine x. Of course, the next step is to simplify. So 7 secant x tangent x minus 5 positive times negative is negative 5, or minus 5 sine x. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, another example. So f of x is equal to power rule for the x cube. Okay, so applying the power rule, that's u to the n, remember? U to the n, the derivative is n, u, and then the exponent n minus 1, and then take the derivative of the u. Okay, so pretty simple for this example. So the derivative now is, for x cubed, it's 3 times x, and then where did you get the 2? That's exponent 3 minus 1. That's why you have 2. Plus sine x, derivative is cosine x. For cosine x, the derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. So right away I wrote it here. So it's negative, or minus 4 sine x. Okay, another example. F of x equals 4 cosecant x plus 10 tangent x minus 3 secant x. Okay, the derivative of cosecant x is negative, so make sure you enclose that one in a grouping sign. And then the 10 tangent x is sine squared x negative 3, minus 3, the derivative of secant x is secant x tangent x. Okay, so removing a grouping signs, this will be our answer. Oh, this should not be present here. Okay. Number 5 is f of x sine 3x. Now, number 5 is actually a composite function, no? Because that of g of x. Okay? So meaning you do not just take the derivative of this one simply and then that's the answer right away. Okay. So anyway, let's do this one step by step. For sine 3x, if you take the derivative of sine, that's cosine u divided u, derivative of u with respect to x. But in this case, our u here is 3x. So you have to take first the derivative of u, which is 3, before you finally plug that one in your answer. Okay, so if we have a function which is sine x, it will become cosine, and then the u is 3x times du over dx, so that is times 3. Because if you just answer this one, cosine 3x, so that is not yet complete. You still have to multiply to the derivative of the u, because this is what we call a composite function. Okay? Okay, finally, you multiply the 3 to the cosine 3x, so you end up with y prime, or the derivative is 3 cosine 3x. This is what I was telling you earlier. This is a composite function. It's in the form of f of g of x, meaning the f is a function of g and the g is also a function of x. So sine 3x is similar to this one. So when you take the derivative, it's you take first the derivative of f and then copy the angle. And since this is composite, you take the next step is to multiply the derivative of the g naman of x. If it's a long function, you have to continue. So it's similar to this one, no? I have an image here. The derivative of a pregnant lady, or let's say a mom, future mom, with respect to x. So how do you take the derivative? You differentiate the mother, leaving the baby inside. What does it mean? Mother is considered as the f, diba? The f. And then the baby is considered the g of x. So differentiate the mother, because the mother is the one which is outside, and the one which is inner or the inside is the baby. So differentiate the mother and leave the baby inside. And sunod is differentiate the baby. But in the image, there's nothing inside the baby, so it can just stop up to here. So this is what we call, again, the chain rule in solving the derivative of composite functions. Okay, so similar to this one first, mother, and then the baby. Or going back to the example, differentiate first the mother, the derivative of cosine, that's the derivative of sine, is cosine, and then this is the baby, the derivative of u. In our case, our u is 3x, so that's 3x. Tapos may baby pa, so mother first, leaving the baby. Okay? Okay, the next one is f of x is equal to cosine. Okay, so the angle here is 4x cubed minus 2. Okay, we know that the derivative of cosine u is u, and then the derivative of u with respect to x. So let's assign what are our u, and the here is, of course, the 4x cubed minus 2. And if you take the derivative of that, this one using the power rule, so you have 3 times, you multiply to the entire term, 3 times 4x, and then the power 3 minus 1, so she just minus 2. Okay.
Sir,
So that is equal to
yes,
12x
excuse me,
squared
sir.
minus 2. Yes? Who is
With
that?
regards po, sir, sa power rule, in the use of the power rule, the base is
Uh-huh.
only the x. The base is only
Again.
the x. In the use of the
So,
power rule po, sir, so diba the
yes?
base is only the x. So it should be
Yes.
only the x which is inside the parenthesis
And then,
to be raised to 2. And then the constant negative 2, when it is being differentiated, the result should be 0. So it can be omitted, diba, sir?
okay. So I'll show you first the entire solution. Okay. This part here, power rule. This one is correct to you, Daryl?
Yes, sir. For x cubed minus 2.
What is the mistake here is the negative 2,
Yes,
right?
sir. And also, opo, and also the
Okay.
base inside the parenthesis.
Okay, so that's a very good observation. I actually intended this one to be a wrong solution so that you can interrupt me because, of course, it's wrong. Very, very good. So this should only be up to, this should not be included. So, of course, this should not be included also. I am having difficulty with my pen. Basta this is not included. Okay. So going back to this one, how do we take the derivative of 4x cubed? 3 times 4x cubed 3 to raised to 3 minus 1? Or, Daryl? Daryl,
Yes, sir. 3 times 4, sir.
it's 3 times
4
4
times the base x
x
raised to 2 or raised to 3 minus
3
1.
minus 1. So this will become 12
X.
x 2.
Yes,
Correct. Very, very good.
sir.
Why are you laughing? You're very good. Okay, so if you notice, this is now the correct way, right? It's the 12 x squared, but this should not be, where has open to the pen? But this is not included anymore, this is included. Okay, so we can have it this way, wait. So this should not be included now, and this should be something like that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you plug that one here, so this should not be excluded also. So this should be out also of the problem. It would be something like this. Correct? Okay, are we clear now? Any other comments? Daryl?
None, sir.
Daryl?
So
Okay?
far. Opo.
Okay,
Okay na po,
very
sir.
good. So later on, I hope you'll find errors again if I intentionally made some. Okay, very good. Okay, very good sign that you really are learning. Okay, next is f of x tangent sine 4x. Okay, so if you take the derivative of tangent, so that is here is sine 4x. Okay. So if you take the derivative of the u, the sine 4x, so that will be positive cosine 4x, but you still need to take the derivative of u with respect to x. Okay, so if you plug it in the formula, you'll have it this way. Okay, so the derivative of sine dx with respect to x is cosine 4x d over dx. Now, we still have to find this value. Okay, so what is the derivative of 4x? That is 4. So this is now the complete solution. So rearranging the terms, you end up with 4 cosine 4x times secant squared sine 4x. And this one has no error. Okay. How about this one? F of x equals x to the fourth sine x. So this is now takes the form of uv, or the product. We have to apply the product rule in solving for the derivative. So for the product rule, it should be u derivative of v with respect to x plus v derivative of u with respect to x. So let's take it one by one. What is our u? This x cubed. Derivative of sine x, very simple, cosine x. So plug it in the formula. U first, which is x to the fourth, derivative of v with respect to x. So this one, cosine x plus v is sine x times derivative of u with respect to x is 4x cubed. Okay, so that's our answer. Okay, for number 9, this now applies the quotient. This is under the quotient rule for finding the derivative. Now, this is the formula, remember? U and V, so these are U, these are V. So how do we solve, take the derivative? V times the derivative of U minus U derivative of V all over V squared. So let's take it one by one. Our U is sine x, our V is x cubed. So take the derivative of U, that's cosine x, derivative of V, 3x squared using power rule is 3x squared, x cubed, sorry, 3x squared. Okay, plugging it in the formula. V is x cubed times the derivative of u cosine x minus x squared all over v squared. Our v is x cubed and then squared. Okay, so simplifying, you have that one. Okay, after simplifying, you can actually factor the x outside, x squared. So a factored form, x squared times x cosine x minus 3 sine x over x to the 6. So you can cancel the x squared with x squared in the denominator. So x squared canceled with x squared here. So you are left with x cosine x minus 3 sine x over x to the 4th. Okay, this is also applying the quotient rule. Similarly, we start with identifying the u, 1 over plus sine x. Our v is x plus cosine x, and then take their derivatives. Okay, the derivative of x is 1, derivative of cosine is negative sine x. Okay, plugging the formula. V is x plus cosine x times du over dx cosine x minus u 1 plus sine x times derivative of v 1 minus sine x all over v squared. V squared is x plus cosine x and then squared. Okay, so simplify. You multiply these terms, x times cosine x, so we have this one plus cosine x squared minus, we know that 1 plus sine x times 1 minus sine x is 1 minus sine squared x, all over x plus cosine x squared. And there is something here, the cosine squared x and sine squared x, which is an identity. Okay, y prime is equal to x cosine x plus. Okay, this is the previous step. So let's group together the cosine squared x and sine squared x, and then minus 1. And this one, cosine squared x plus sine squared x, remember, is an identity which is equal to 1. So that becomes now x cosine x plus 1 minus 1. So this whole part here is equal to 0. Okay? So this is 1 minus 1. So what we are left is x cosine x over x plus cosine x squared. Okay, so you always need to check whether your part of the solution applies identities to make it simple. Okay. As cotangent sine x cubed to the fourth. Now, we're going to solve this one. Hey, sorry. Okay, let's try to solve this one. I need your inputs now. So how do we start?
Yes, sir.
Remember the chain rule? Applying the chain rule, integrate, take the derivative of the mother, leaving the baby inside. Okay, so how do we start? Wait a minute. So y prime is equal to, let's concentrate on this one. Do not look at this one. So let's start with 4.
4
Hey, what's the pen? 4
times the base.
Then you have to include everything in the bracket, cotangent, and then this is the 4 minus 1 is
3.
okay. Next is multiplied with
Times the
derivative now of cotangent, which is
negative cosecant squared.
Cosecant squared cotangent. Ay, sorry.
Negative cosecant squared only po, sir.
Never mind. Okay. Cotangent squared times you have to copy
sine x cubed.
Right? That's correct?
Yes, sir. That's
okay. And then
derivative of the angle.
Derivative of the angle, which is the 3 at the sine. Oh my God.
So
cosine. This is sine. Okay. So derivative of sine is cosine
x cube.
Okay.
Times.
Now this is the mother, this is the baby. So there's still a baby, which is the x cube. So finally, oh my God.
Times derivative of x cube.
Derivative of x cube is 3x squared. Okay, so okay, multiply. So that's 12.
A negative 12.
Okay, you take the negative here, so that's negative 12x squared.
Cosine x cube.
Okay, so cosine x cube times cotangent of sine, okay, x cube cube times cosecant. You don't have the negative sign anymore. It's already in the negative, in the 12
squared.
Cosecant squared
sine x to the 4th.
Sine x cube. Any mistake?
Yes. Okay lang, sir.
Negative of x. Yes.
Diba, we can also write the 3 as the power of the cotangent.
Here, yeah. Okay, so.
Pero that's okay also.
Okay. So final answer negative negative 12x squared cosine x cube times cotangent. So it will appear similar to the original function. 3 a cube times sine x cube
times cosecant squared. Cosecant squared
Absine A.
Absine X cube.
X
X.
cube.
Nice.
Okay, so that's our final answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, so actually this is the answer. So let's check. Okay, negative 12 x squared multiplied to, it should have the, after its rearrangement, no, you can also have something like this. And this should be here. So you have here problems involving, okay, the angle is radical to this one. So you just apply the same concept, for sure you can solve this one. Okay, so that's all for our meeting today. Are you okay, class?
Yes, sir.
Are you still okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so I think it's time for us to
Yes, sir.
now. Thumbs up. Okay. Okay. See you next meeting. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Salamat.
Thank you, sir.
Good day.
So that was the presentation of Engineer Pitilia from science for science and mathematics. So I may begin to love trigonometry expressions because of the sexy. Now let's proceed to the next presenter. We have Mr. Eric Santasing for the Information Technology and Computer Science discipline.
I'm Eric Santasing, an instructor in the Information Technology Department of the College of Engineering, representing Eastern-Visayas State University main campus. I am here to present my Computer Programming 1 module that is a Moodle platform. So let's get started. So the first thing that the student is going to do is to log into their account in the learning management system of the Eastern-Visayas State University. Upon logging in, they will be able to see their dashboard. Now, if the student is not yet enrolled, they can actually search for the subject that they wish to enroll in. So the information technology has a separate category, and you can search for the subject there. So in my case, I am using MC Computer Programming 1 for the subject. So once the student is able to see the subject, they have to click on that and then enroll themselves. So if they are not yet enrolled, the students will be given a key so that they will be self-enrolling themselves to the subject. So once they are able to enroll to that subject on the dashboard, they will now be able to see the subject. All they have to do is to click on this portion of the link to the subject, and they will be brought to the content. So in the content, what is seen there is the first thing that is seen in the topmost portion is the announcement, wherein instructors will be posting some announcements regarding the subject. So they can post schedules, new schedules, or quizzes, or anything that has anything to do with the subject. Attendance will be used to monitor the students' presence, and the attendance will also show let the student know the sessions that they will going to attend. So each month. So that this is used by the teachers for monitoring also. Then since the school has an online reference platform subscription, so that site is is used as an external tool for learning. So here they will be able to access learning resources or activities. So for synchronous learning, the course also provides a virtual classroom. It can either be using the Google Meet or the virtual classroom that is provided by the Moodle. So live sessions will be announced. So you can also see the welcome page wherein we have added an audio so that the students can no longer can listen to the what the audio is saying with regards to the subject. So the first activity that the students is going to do is to introduce themselves. So here they will be given a task wherein they have to create a discussion topic using a forum, and each of them is going to reply on least at least once on the topics that were posted. So the part of the content is the course information and policies. So here the student is able to learn the mission and core values of the school. It's provided, and they also have the course description as well as its objectives, the learning outcomes after completing the subject. Then the course is divided into 5 modules as discussed here, so that the students will know what to expect in learning the subject. So that they will be able to learn more, these are some of the things that they need to learn that every module has. So every module contains the description, a pre-activity, and the lessons, and every module has its practice exercise for a student before the main task is given. A group chat will be provided to facilitate inquiries, and references will also be given to the student, additional references. The main task will always be the way on assessing the student. So here they will be given a problem or an activity that is the summary of the topics that were discussed in each module. Students are also required to reflect on the learning experience for every module. Then the house rules are also set. So this would be the rules that the students should follow when they are taking this course. So here it states when will be the activities are to be submitted, and they have to complete those activities prior to so that they will be able to move to the next topic or the next module. Group chats will be provided. Main task for every module will be required, and as well as the reflection. And online references, you can actually have their own online references, but in this course there are some suggested and preferred online links. And also the students will be required to have a copy of the integrated development environment for the C compilers. So here we are suggested Turbo C, C++, any versions will do. Or they have the smartphone, they can actually use or download the C4 Droid, a mobile app, so that they can create programs using their phones. So the learning plan, so this would be the activities that they are going to have for every module, and the duration for each module. So these durations, so the deadlines are to be set by the instructor. Then afterwards, upon learning those policies, a pretest will be given. So in this case, the students are going to take the test for 30 minutes. So when as soon as the pretest is finished, they can now start the lessons. And also, as an additional activity for the students, they are to contribute to the course glossary. So each of them is going to enter at least 3 entries. They have to provide 3 entries for the course glossary. So these are the terms that will be used in the entire for this course. So that would be one of the requirements for them to starts. It gives a brief description of what IT is all about, what the module is all about, the first module is all about. So in this case, it discusses the introduction to programming and flowchart, C programming. Students now, after reading this one, students now will be given a warm-up exercise or a pre-activity. So in this case, I've given them as the scrambled egg challenge, wherein they are going to create a discussion topic to the instruction of this activity. So each of them is going to reply and comment on at least one of those discussion topic that's posted by the students. And then discussion topics that was posted in the warm-up activity or the pre-activity. So there, questions can be raised, or the instructor is going to discuss with the students on what was the importance of having that pre-activity and how it is related to the topic for module 1. And then the lesson starts. So in this, the contents of this lesson discuss 3 main topics, 3 subtopics, I mean. So we have flowcharts and algorithm, then we have the variables and identifiers, as well as the symbols included there in the symbols, as well as the notations that are used in flowchart in flowcharting. So here they will be given the content of each topic. So each topic will be given detailed discussions, and then after each subtopics, the students will be required to a practice activity. So after finishing all the discussions of each subtopic, a pre-activity is given. So once they reach this the pre-activity, the practice activity, the practice exercise will determine if they are going to continue to the next topic, or they are to return to the current topic that they are discussing. So this is to ensure the mastery of the topic. So once they are able to look at this, finish these topics, for every subtopic, they are given 3 activities. And then after each 3 activities, an additional information for the students to take a look at as added information from the topic that they are reading. So once these discussions are finished, they will be brought to a group discussion again. So here, the instructor is going to use the use of the FB Messenger for questions, so that clarifications on the topics that was discussed on the lesson. So here, students may ask, or so that other students may also reply to that inquiry of a certain student, or the instructor himself is going to answer those questions. So they can use the FB group with this FB name of the group, so that since FB the Facebook Messenger is for free, so they don't need a load for that one. So they can just simply put their queries there. Then the more references are given to the students. So this would be more links that will allow the student to which will enhance the student's learning on the subject or the topic at hand. And then students are ready to do the main task. So here they will be given a quiz. In my case, I have stated that the student is going to have at least 3 attempts to perform the quiz or the main task. So the average score will be recorded for that one. Then after completing the main task, a reflection is needed for the student to work on. So in this case, they're going to reflect on their learning experience. So it is in the form of a journal entry. So after that, upon accomplishing all these tasks, that's the only time that they are going to move to the next module, which is in this case control structures 1 condition statements.
That concludes my presentation on computer programming 1 module incorporated into the Moodle platform. Thank you and good day.
Okay, so that was the presentation of Mr. Eric Santasing for Information Technology Computer Science discipline. And now for in the field of agriculture, fisheries, and marine biology, we are going to view the presentation of Art Russell Flandes.
Sharing to you my Moodle classroom for the course MARB 111, Chemical and Biological Oceanography, which is a 4-unit course for BS Marine Biology students of the Visayas State University. So before I proceed, just a little disclaimer, this Moodle classroom is still a work in progress. In fact, it was really very difficult for me to synchronize the content here and the content for the printed version of the IM. So please bear with me. So to start with, I'll show you the Moodle for Oceanography 2. This is the main page, and maybe I'll turn editing off first. So in the memo, VSU indicated that the official learning management system to be adopted is Moodle, and we had a 3-day training for this one. So anyway, let's start. This is the main page now. So the first thing I did prior to the actual course is to do a quick survey, which I posted in the announcements page here. So survey for BSMB3 students gives them a link to a Google form, and based on that survey, I found out that all of them will be able to participate in an asynchronous online learning modality. So that's why I focused on the design and structure of this Moodle, although it's still, like I said, a work in progress, but hopefully this can be improved. So the scenario that I chose for this online teaching demo is the first day of class or during the onboarding. This is where we introduce to the learners the new learning modality, and it is also during this time that we discuss the overall content and the bird's eye view, and then the grading system, the class policies, and some important information, practical information. So in this session, for example, I will show you this module here, preliminaries. So actually the preliminary module for this course, I was able to make 1, 2, 3, 4 subsections or lessons. So the first lesson, for example, or module 0.10.1 is an introduction to a welcome first to the course, and then introduction to the modality adapted for this course, for this semester. So I introduce what is Moodle. I introduce the elements that we use, and then some definition of terms. So emphasize on the definition of module. A module is a basic building block of a course or subject. So also in this initial module, I also introduce the students or the learners, the users of this Moodle to clickable elements like this. So this is actually just a narration of the text here. So if you click on the play button, it will sound off the text here. So I also introduce the basic components of a module. So in our case here, so quick test, tasks and activities, and then the discussion and the post-test. So let me share to you this simplified free mind of the module components according to the memo and according to the IM template. So it should have these components. Unfortunately, I'm not able to complete yet everything, but still being done. It will contain lesson summary, learning outcomes, activity. So this I inserted this based on the webinar series. So for example, the 4 A's of learning: activity, analysis, abstraction, application, and then the other components. So if you have another lesson, so it's the same thing. So basically, this is what comprises a module. Going back to the page, so So again, the same format. You have the lesson title, setting up your device. So for example, I emphasize here that before the students could access the materials, the presentations, they need to do something else first. They have to set up their device. So according to the survey, most of my students will be using phones, Android phones. So that's why I indicated here, or I included, I described instructions on how to set up their mobile phones or their laptops for laptop users. I also included here a video clip, a YouTube clip on how how to set up the browser. So I gave them instruction to download a specific browser that supports a certain format that I use. So to show you that, so this is, so it contains file formats, a file format called Flash. It's an animated format, and it's possible to incorporate interaction. So that's why I really included in the module instructions on how to set up the device, so that eventually they will be able to view the animations. So here in these certain pages. So then the next part is an activity. So since they were given a certain task, I thought it would be important to check whether they were able to accomplish that task. So to be able to install the indicated browser, and if successful, then the home page of this website should display this animation here. So that's why they are going to attach a file here, a JPEG or a PNG file, a picture, a screenshot. Okay, so after that, the next material will be the grading system. So I indicated here how they will be graded, and what are the main components of the final grade. So, and then of course we discussed the course policies. So all the necessary modifications for this online class. Typically we have certain rules for face-to-face classes, but for this online class, I've also included several policies and information. For example, policies on communication, like email. So I indicated here, for example, that I could respond to their email within 24 to 48 hours, except on weekends. So at least it's clear when they will send me an email, so something like that, and when they will expect a response. And then I also included here, for example, submission of outputs. So for Moodle, for Google Classroom, if ever I will be able to make another Google Classroom for other subjects, then some formats. For example, the subject line format for easier filtering of emails is indicated here. And for those who will send through snail mail or courier, so I also indicated the address to which they will send their parcels or mail. Email. So I also included this video conference netiquette in case there will be some virtual sessions via Google Meet or Zoom. So these are adapted from our webinars for the Eastern-Visayas HEIs. So I just indicated there. And of course, after that discussion on the class policies, then we have quiz on the preliminaries. Just simple true or false, or maybe multiple choice for this one. And then, of course, additional references. And then the next one will be a pre-test for the lecture proper, or the module proper on oceanography. So, before this main topic, so of course, the module. In the module, we have learning outcomes. I think the module information was mentioned. So module overview. So what the class is all about, and then the motivation questions. So what is the class considered important, and what is exactly all about? So indicated these are the main questions we address in this module. So again, I intend this learning material to be read, so that's why I did not really prepare for PowerPoint. It's just to be read here in this platform in Moodle. So I proceed with this one, oceanography, the details. So for example, learning outcomes define oceanography and its interrelated disciplines. So we introduce students to the root word or the etymology of the term oceanography, and how is it different from oceanology, and so on. So, and I include simple graphics here, which I made slightly modified from textbook source. Of course, I modified, actually simplified it to also avoid copyright issues. So then with another one, proceed to the next module, why study the ocean. So what is the content here? I explained why scientists often argue that the name Earth is a misnomer. So okay, and I continue with some recent announcements. For example, that about 1/5 of the ocean floor is already mapped. Then I ask certain questions. And unfortunately, it's not yet found here. It's in the text version, the PDF version of the module. So it's here. Where is it? The learning tasks or activities. I still have to incorporate this in the Moodle. So read about mapping. What do you think are the opportunities as a future oceanographer? Write a short discussion of 300 words for this. A rubric will be made available in the Moodle site, something like that. And then I continue to have another lesson on the principal oceans and seas. So just the basic names. And as an application, they will be submitting a screenshot from Google Earth or from Google Maps, the location, and their location, and then the nearest body of water, the name of the nearest body of water there is. And then also locate these different oceans. Then there's another assignment. So basically that's the structure of the Moodle, showing the modules. So after this first module, then you have another module. But I will show you very quickly this presentation file, interactive presentation file, embedded in a support site. So the growth of oceanography. So this is interactive. So if you click or hover some elements, then there are interactivities that will happen. So for example, here these tabs are clickable, so the student could move from one section to another, and this is actually a presentation with the narration that will automatically play. And if you notice, if I hover on the pictures, text will appear showing the description of that picture. So this again could be done as an interactivity for students. So for example, this is a mosaic of Oceanus, from which the term oceanography is derived from. And another sculpture in Rome of Oceanus. I think this is just to make students interested in the Greek history, perhaps, oceanography. And then another interactivity. So there are also clickable elements or hoverable elements. So if you hover them, you have description of the map, for example. And then you have a lot of things. So again, that's why I spent a certain preliminary module for what you call this, for setting up the browser equipment, because this interactive equipment would somehow give a new learning experience for students. So for example, this is the actual picture of the origin, which I simplified in the IM. And you have here a timeline, for example, history, but I think so this is just to show you some of the interactive things that is possible for this new learning modality. So that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope we could hear more suggestions for improvements or streamlining of the workflow of the components from the experts. Thank you very much, and good evening.
So that was the presentation under Agriculture, Fisheries, and Marine Biology by Art Russell Flandes. Moving on for the accounting, business, and management field, we have Miss Darlene Joy Utuhan from the University of Eastern Philippines.
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to Pricing Strategy. I hope you have already downloaded our syllabus. In there you will see our topics. So we have here our university's vision, mission, our graduate outcomes, and our college goals. So this course is entitled Pricing Strategy or Marketing Management 311. So it credits for 3 units for 3 hours a week. So what is our course description? Determining the price of a product is one of the most important decisions. It is also one of the most complex. Initially surveys some popular pricing practices, explores their pitfalls, and identifies the facilities they are based on. It then develops a conceptual framework based on economic foundations for effective proactive decisions. At the end of this course, you're expected to be able to define pricing and the different terminologies in pricing. Solve for the desired price using customer-based, cost-based, and competition-based pricing. Differentiate the various pricing strategies used in business. Create a pricing scheme for commodities using the different pricing strategies. Discuss the role of economics and consumer psychology in product pricing. Perform proper pricing taking in consideration the different pricing strategies. So let's get into our outline. So as you will see, we have our different topics. We have 5 topics, and included there are 2 exams. We have the midterm and the final exam. So first, our topic is understanding pricing. Second is the major pricing strategies. Third are the pricing strategies, that is part 1. And then after which we will have our midterms. Then, for the next topic to continue, we have pricing strategies, additional considerations, that is part 2. And then other internal and external considerations affecting price decisions. And with that, we will have our final exam. So, to dig deeper into our syllabus, we have different topics and subtopics. So first, in our module 1, we have understanding pricing. With that, we have what is pricing, how companies price, consumer psychology and pricing, and setting the price. For module 2, we have major pricing strategies. So we have 3. So we have customer-based pricing, cost-based pricing, and competition-based pricing. After which we have pricing strategies, additional considerations, part 1. Under it are new product pricing strategies and product mix pricing strategies. For additional pricing strategies, part 2, we have price adjustment strategy, price changes, and public policy and pricing. Then for module number 5, we have other internal and external considerations affecting price decisions. With that, we have overall marketing strategies, objectives and mix, organizational considerations, the market and demand, the economy, and other external factors. So that comprises the whole topics to be discussed in this course. So what is our grading system? So we have quizzes and assignments, which comprises 20% of your grade, midterm examination, which is 40%, and final examination, which is also 40%.
Hello everyone!
So hello, welcome to our first module, which is understanding pricing. So in this module, we will be talking about what pricing is, so how companies price, the consumer psychology and pricing, and how it is to set the price, or what are the steps in setting the price. So before we proceed, I do assume that you have already understood the 4 P's in marketing, especially pricing. So this topic, or particularly this subject, is a part of principles of marketing. So if you still remember our principles of marketing, in our 4 P's there are product, place, price, and promotion. So we will be talking more on pricing in this subject. So I assume that you have already our module. So it can be found in our Moodle page. So if not, do check it out first. Download it, have a soft copy, or if you want a printed one, you can print so that you can take down notes if ever you want to. So let's start. So according to Cutler and Keller, price is the one element of the marketing mix that produces revenue. The other elements produce cost. It is perhaps the easiest element of the marketing program to adjust. Product features, channels, and even communications take more time. So what are the learning outcomes? You are expected to define pricing and the different terminologies in pricing. Number 2, to compare commodities in the market with its suggested retail prices. Number 3, design a pricing scheme based on consumer psychology. And lastly, analyze how businesses price their commodities. So, do take note of our learning outcomes, and I hope that they will be attained by the end of this module. So for our first topic, what is price? So, have you ever gone to the market lately? Or perhaps in the sari-sari store in your neighborhood? Have you noticed the price of the commodities that you are buying? Or did you ever wonder how they are priced and why they are priced that way? Price is not just a number on a tag. So you will notice that each isano, for example, in the grocery store, you will notice there that different items have different prices. So these items that we have, they are either priced high or expensive, or they are cheap. But the prices of these items differ according to product, according to size, the quantity of the product, or even to the label of the product. Price comes in many forms. So have you noticed that everything that you buy corresponds to a particular price? So price could be rent, it could be commissions, it could be wages, it could be rates, tuition, fees, fare. So all of these are just examples of what corresponds or what are the functions of prices. So when you go to the sari-sari store in your neighborhood to buy soy sauce, the fare you pay when you ride a jeepney or a tricycle is the price for that service that you have availed. If you have an online business or you are selling various items, you have prices for different items that you have. Although price is the number that you pay or the amount that you pay to avail a certain commodity or a service, it comes in different forms. So how do we define price? So price is the amount of money charged for a product or service. So it is the sum of all the values that customers give up to gain the benefit of having or using a product or service. So in order for you to get what you want, you have to pay the price. So if you really wanted that cell phone that just launched last month or the other year, you have to pay the corresponding price for it. So price is the only element in the marketing mix that produces revenue. Have you noticed that? Everything else represents cost. So the production of your products and services, that is cost. So promotion, how you will promote your product, that is also cost. The place or your distribution, where you will be selling that product or service, how you will be selling it to your customers, how your customers will be availing of your products and services, that is also cost for the company. So price really is the only element that produces revenue. Also, price is the most flexible marketing mix element. At the same time, pricing is the number one problem facing many marketing executives, and many companies do not handle pricing well. So if ever a certain product is not selling well because it is priced too high, customers will not buy it. If it is priced too low, customers will buy it, but it will take a toll on your business. You will not be covering the expenses. So can you imagine having able to sell your products at a lower price or a cheaper price, but it cannot cover the expenses incurred in acquiring or in producing those products and services? So kung titingnan natin, lugi ka pa din. Malulugi ka dahil hindi tama ang pagkakapresyo mo sa inyong mga binibenta. And also, if you will be selling it at a higher price, you will be covering all the costs and possibly have a profit, but your customers will not be able to avail of those products and services because they cannot afford them. So, pricing really gives a big headache to executives, to businessmen. So if ever you will be going into business, make sure that you are able to understand how to price a product and when to price it high and when to price it low. So later on, during our discussion, we will be tackling about the different pricing strategies. So there is a corresponding pricing strategy depending on the vision or the mission of a business, depending on what a business would want to attain in the future. Okay? So, do open your modules, or if not, you can visit our module website. And in our class, we have there a link for your assessment task. So in your assessment task, you are to explain in your own words. Remember, this is how you understand the term price. Okay? So how do you understand price? What is price to you? So do write there your answers, and then later on I will be checking them to see if you were able to really grasp the idea of what price is. I finished the first topic. Diba, ang iksi-iksi lang talaga niya. But malaki ang kanyang impact. Because if you do not understand, by this point, you do not understand what price is, the tendency is you will not be able to understand our succeeding topics. Okay? So, again, do visit our link for our assessment task. Write your answers there. And then later on, I will be checking them to see whether or not you have already understood it. So if you were not able to get the idea of what price is, you can comment below, or you could contact me. You can contact me in my email address or in our Moodle site or in our Moodle classroom, so that I could further explain to you what price is. Or if you are shy to ask, you can read more. There are a lot of books about pricing. You could also search the internet about price. Okay? So that ends our topic 1. Again, congratulations, you were able to finish the whole topic.
So that was the presentation for accounting, business, and management field by Ms. Darlene Joy Duhan. Now let's proceed to the health education. We have Mr. Haneroe Romero from Biliran Province State University.
May video. Ano naman?
Good day to each and everyone. Today I will be presenting the learning management system of the Biliran Province State University. So by the way, I am Aniro Wibi Romero. I am a clinical instructor from the School of Nursing and Health Sciences. Okay, so to begin with, first we need to access the LMS website, which is lms.ipso.edu.ph. And then we need to our dashboard. Okay, so basically this is what my dashboard looks like. We have here my profile, also have my courses, and then course overview. Okay, so to access my courses, I can either click it here in my courses and then click my subject, or you can click it here in the recent access courses to access your course. So the courses will only show up here if after the MIS has okay. So let's try it. So we are now on my course, which is pharmacology. So this is the course title. You have here my course introduction, which is a video, a short video about pharmacology. And then I have here my course description. And the last one, I have my resource unit, or the resource unit for my subject. Okay, so before the students can proceed to my weekly activities, they first need to read this one. Okay, view the video description and also read my resource unit for their guide. Okay. So this is my activities for my week 1. I have my virtual class. So I also downloaded here or uploaded here my slides so that if ever my students could not follow my slides during the virtual class, they could readily download it anytime. Okay, so first I need to show you how to edit. How did I edit my page? In order for you to edit the page, you need to click turn editing on, which can be found in this icon here, the gear icon, and then you need to click turn editing on. Okay, so once that's done, okay. Okay, so this would pop up. So you can now edit your page. So here, if you want to edit this one, if you want to edit this title or this description, just need to click this pen or this one, edit edit settings. Okay. So if you want to add an activity or resource, you just need to click this one. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, so here are the list of the activities that you can add. You have here your assignment, attendance, chat, choice, Congria, which is basically our virtual class. You have your database, exams, if you want to show the results of the exams to your students. And then you also have your external tools, feedback, forum if you want to create a forum, and then glossary, lessons, quiz, score package, Skype, survey, virtual programming lab, wiki, and workshop. And you can also add here some resources, books, files, folders, MS content package, label, or page. So basically, those are the things that you can add to your course, depending on what you want to achieve. Okay, so let us now proceed to my virtual class. So this is for my fundamental concepts of pharmacology. So we will now try to simulate a virtual class, and I will explain to you how we are going to do the virtual class. Okay, so first, you first need to schedule your session. So what I did was I informed my students in advance, a week or 2 weeks before the actual session, for them to select a comfortable time wherein they could connect to the internet. Okay, so here, so we'll now try to add a new session. So you'll just need to click the add session. Okay, so to schedule your session, first you need to set your session start time, the date, month, year, and the time you need to start your session. And then next, the time duration in minutes. So let's say 30 minutes. Okay. And then click Save Changes in order to create that session. Okay. So now that your session has been scheduled, you can view it in this page. So just click upcoming sessions. And then at the bottom, you can now join your virtual class as a presenter. Okay. So in here, I also included the description of my module and a disclaimer. So I will just read the disclaimer. You are reminded to make sure that you have a stable internet connection before joining the session to prevent loss of output scores in any activity. Okay, so we will now try to enter the virtual class. And by the way, so the students can only join this class after I enroll them to my course. Okay. And other instructors can also access this one if I will also enroll them. If they want to observe my class, so they can do that by requesting me to add them to my course. Okay. So we will now try to enter my virtual classroom. Okay, so this will pop up. So this will check your connection, your browser, your audio, video, if it is compatible. You can do this or you can just skip this one. Okay, so for me, I'll just skip this one. Okay, so basically this is my presenter view. So this is where I would interact with my students. So basically this is like Zoom, but with the different tools. Okay, so here, my students would be seen over this area. So I can see who is joining our session in this area. So I can, this one, I can chat with if I want to give them instructions before our session. I could send them a message. Okay, so the next one are the tools here. So basically, these are the tools used during my virtual class. So the first tool I have here is the whiteboard. Okay, so in the whiteboard you can either write anything. Okay, you can tips, or you can enter your texts. Okay, so the next tool we have here is the document sharing. If you want to share some documents to your students, okay, you just need to drag and drop the files over this area. Okay, so let's try it. Okay. Uh, okay, so I already have here some added documents. So every time I add some documents here, my students could access it or could download the files. Okay, so the next one I have here is the next tool is the screen share. It's the loading. Here you just need to choose the person.
We have okay. We have lost the signal, so okay, let's continue. Thank you so much, Biliran Province State University, for that presentation under health education. And now to complete the list of our presenters, we have for maritime education, Ms. Daisy Mar Pinones Pitoy from Palompon Institute of Technology.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Daisy Mar Pipitoy from the Marine Transportation of the College of Maritime Education of Palompon Institute of Technology. I'm here to present a short online teaching demonstration using the Moodle platform together with my students. Mr. James Harold Taneo, Mr. Reynaldo Capilos Jr., and Ms. Cindy Calvez. So here in the Moodle platform, my students are already enrolled. So the informations available here will also be available in their monitors, in their desktop, in their laptop, or in their mobile phones. So my subject is Meteorology and Oceanography 1. So here in the informations about me, the instructors, are already posted. So I've posted my name and my email ad so that they can immediately send me an email if they do have concern with the course. I've also written a short welcome note to them for them to start by reading the course syllabus and by watching a short video. So for the course syllabus, it is a PDF file. Once they click the file, so it will automatically download to their desktop, their laptop, or their mobile phones. So in the course syllabus, they can read or scan additional information, detailed information about the course. So we have the program educational objectives, the program description, and the name of the program, course code, the descriptive title, and also the information if how many credit units, contact hours per week. However, of course, due to the pandemic that we're facing right now, so additional arrangements might be considered with the contact hours for each for the course. So you can also read the course description here, and then of course the performance task, the course outcomes, and the learning outcomes also, and the information, the task for every week. So assuming that they've already read the course syllabus, so they can proceed to the short video available in this page. They can watch the short video also for the introductory information about the course. Okay, so that's the end of the short video for my introduction. So here I've posted an announcement, a short announcement for the student, so they can also read an information that it's a 5-graded course arranged in 5 units for 18 weeks. And I've also written that they can directly ask me a question. They do have a concern about the course. Assuming that they've already read the information for the course syllabus, for the short video and the announcement, so they can proceed to the first topic for the course. So the first topic will be overview of the history and elements of meteorology in relevance to the maritime studies. So the informations that are available for the first topics are the modules and the lesson and the quiz. By the way, for the topics that are available for the students, it's only topic 1 and topic 2. For topic 3 and 4, it's still hidden to them so that they can have the access. So here, for the information for the module, it is also a Word file So it is all once they've clicked it, so it will automatically download to their computers or their phones if they're using their cell phones. So it is the first module for Meteorology and Oceanography 1. The informations that available here, the instructional materials that available here is also the same with the instructional materials that available in the Moodle platform. This module can also be used for those students who can access the online class. Of course, we're going also to consider those students who can't access the online classes, so they can use this module also. Learning outcomes are also available here. 1. Exercise activities, feedbacks, and then for the main topic, so there's a short reference also. Meteorology. Okay, so assuming that they've already read the module, so they can proceed to 1.2, which is the first lesson. For 1.2, there are two lessons that available. First is the history of meteorology, and for the lesson, instructional materials like PowerPoint and YouTube videos are also available. So for the PowerPoint, it's also an automatic download. So they can open it in their desktop, in their computers, or in their mobile phones. This is an example of a PowerPoint downloaded in Moodle. So the same information also available in the module, that on Microsoft Word module. Okay, so that's an example of a PowerPoint presentation downloaded in Moodle.
The history of meteorology.
Play this video.
The ancient Babylonians wrote that when a cloud grows dark in the heavens, a wind will blow. While they may not have known why this happened, they were making observations and linking them to events. In ancient India, references to the hydrologic cycle can be found in Vedic texts that are more than 3,000 years old. Wind, water, earth, and the sun were among many of the forces or natural entities that were worshipped as gods. King of these gods in India was Indra, the god of rain. In ancient China, rainbows were thought to be visible rain dragons. They kept a systematic meteorological record and even measured humidity by weighing charcoal after exposure to the atmosphere. Ever since the first humans gazed up at the sky, they wondered what it was all about and why certain things happened. As humans learned to cultivate crops, their lives depended upon the weather. Rain brought life, floods, and was critical to their survival. They would need to understand it in their terms. Gods made the most sense to the early peoples, and many cultures and religions had prayers or symbolic dances and ceremonies to bring rain. It is the Greeks that began speculating on why we experience weather and other natural phenomenon. From 600 BC to 1500 AD, many Greek natural philosophers write about their observations and thoughts. In 340 BC, Aristotle published Meteorologica, which contains his theories about earth sciences. It is from this that we get meteorology, which is the study of the Earth's atmosphere and atmospheric phenomenon, as well as the atmosphere's interaction with the Earth's surface, oceans, and life in general. Aristotle's ideas survive until the Renaissance. Science was alive in the Arab world in the year 1000, where according to Ibn al-Haytham, conclusions must be based on experiment and geometric proofs, not on past authority. He was the first to study optics and correctly explain the atmospheric refraction.
Okay, so assuming that they already viewed the video. So here in the lower left, they can also see in their monitors the knowledge check. So they can answer this one. Arel, Reg, and Cindy, can you please answer the knowledge check in the lesson? So it is a true or false question, mostly true or false. So all the questions are related to the video or the PowerPoint presentation for this lesson. After answering the last question for the history of meteorology, so they can proceed to the next lesson, the second part of the lesson, which is the elements of weather. Assuming that they've already read the viewed the PowerPoint and then watched the video, so they can also answer the knowledge check for the elements of weather. Okay, so after they've answered the knowledge check, so in their monitor, they will see this display, which is they've reached the end of lesson. You can also monitor your students if they're really doing their lessons here in the reports. So here, Reynaldo already finished his lesson with a high score. So he got the knowledge, all the knowledge check questions correct. Cindy and James are still in the process of answering their knowledge check. So this is a way of using the lesson in Moodle platform. So assuming that the students already performed the lesson part, so they can proceed to the quiz, which is the last part of my topic 2. So here you can ask your student to answer the quizzes. You can also enable the dates here, but since this is only a demonstration, so I've enabled the dates, and also given them 20 minutes for the limit, so they can answer this quiz. Reg, Cindy, and Harold, you can answer the first quiz. So for the quiz, it is mostly a multiple choice. Okay, so it will automatically tell them, the students, that their answers are wrong or correct. But for the essay questions, it's up to the instructor to grade it manually. So here in the grades, we can see if the students are answering the quiz or done answering the quiz. So here I have one student have already answered the quiz. The Cindy, Reg, and Harold are still answering the quiz. So that's the last part of my topic 1, which is the quiz. So the second part will be topic 2, which is shipboard meteorological instruments. So the information, the lessons, and the quiz they're just the same with topic 1. So you can also make additional informations, like we can post an assignment. So in my case, I did not post an assignment. So that's the end of our short teaching demonstration on how to use Moodle in behalf of the College of Maritime Education and the Palompon Institute of Technology. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Okay, so that completes the 10 presenters that we have today. So after viewing all the presentations, we could really see and observe that the science and the art of teaching is really evident. Each of the teacher has its own way of presenting their lessons. And so now we are given an hour for the feedbacking and critiquing. To our expert evaluators, you are given 5 minutes to present and to give your feedback and critique of the presentation assigned to you. And the remaining 30 minutes is allotted to our invited evaluators. So to start with, we have Dr. EVHEIs-FLMSC from the Palompon Institute of Technology for Science and Mathematics presentation.
Okay, clear po, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to commend the presenter from NWSSU, Dr. Petilia, for a well-prepared interactive teaching demonstration on teaching mathematics. This evaluation is solely based on the online teaching demo presented, as the Moodle site for LMS was not duly exhibited. Although the PDF and MS Word copy of the module was sent. With regards to his OTD, he manifested a very engaging attitude in managing his virtual classroom, especially in eliciting students' ideas and in encouraging their participation, knowing that the topic he presented is very challenging to deliver in an online platform. Generally, I have few observations. First, the module is well aligned with the 4 A's. Second, intended students will surely be guided by this module, as learning outcomes and learning plans are clearly stipulated. And third, with regards to the hard copy of the module, font sizes were, however, inconsistent in some of the mathematical equations. Although I understand that writing equations in printed documents like MS Word or PDF is very cumbersome, much more in an online platform like Moodle. If I may suggest, first, indentions, spacing on some lines after main headings or solutions on problem solving may be emphasized for more readability. You may align the equal symbols in the solutions for more clarity. Second, you may use other apps or plugins aside from the built-in equation editor of the MS Word. You may use MathMagick for Adobe InDesign. And third, under the Let's Get Started, you may add enabling activity for the activation of prior knowledge. Since the topic is about derivatives of trigonometric functions, a review on the previous topic about basic lesson on derivatives may be a good take-off, in addition to the clip included in the OTD. And lastly, under Let's Do This, you may cite the source of the clip, although proper referencing was done at the end of the module to address copyright issues. Once again, congratulations to the presenter, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ismero. And now let's move to our next expert evaluator to give her observations, suggestions, or comments with regards to the presentation for Information Technology and Computer Science, we have Ms. Christy Carpon from Northwest Summer State University.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Especially to our CHED Commissioner, Dr. Aldrin Darilag, to our Regional Director, Director Colorado, the different SUCs president, co-evaluators, presenters, and all the viewers in Zoom and YouTube Live. Again, good afternoon. Before I begin with my evaluation of Mr. Santa Singh online teaching demonstration, I'd like to commend and congratulate him for doing a good job in preparing and presenting the OTD despite of the limited time. Congratulations, Sir Santa Singh. Here now are my observations. In terms of the content, the entire module is correspondent to the set of curricular standard, and its theme or purpose is clearly stated. Contents are organized using book-like pages, wherein subtopics naturally progress into succeeding ones. The module contains essential knowledge about topic. It catches the interest of the intended viewers by providing additional resources or links related to the topics. The forms of assessment are appropriate to the content. The content of the Moodle allows social interaction and collaboration between students and teachers by using the chat discussion, which is further enhanced by using platforms like Messenger and Google Meet. Students were also given opportunity to introduce themselves. However, I'd like to suggest that the instructor should clearly state in the course description the general assessment or intended output or project for the entire course, so that right from the start, the students are already aware of the major course output expected of them. For the assessment, the instructor may supply varied types of assessment with corresponding rubrics if applicable, to properly assess specific practical activities. Since the rubric provided in the module is intended only for the main task, hence this suggestion. Since the course is focused on programming, I am concerned on how the instructor will check the validity or reliability of the program or code. The instructor should also provide feedback mechanism, since it is not clearly seen during the demonstration. Another suggestion is that the instructor should clearly state the problem in the practical activity and main task, and may provide sample output. Diagrams, programs, or codes should have supporting discussions to clearly explain the concept. Provide also discussion on how to use the software used in studying the programming language. In terms of the design, I admire the naming or branding of the different labels or parts of the module, because it is very specific to IT area or field. Buttons and links are clearly labeled and allow the reader to easily move from different sections or pages. Mr. Santa Singh made also use of videos, external links, and other resources to support the students' learning. Animations or simulations or code simulations can be added to enhance learners' interest and understanding, and enhance also the presentation. Sample programs could also be enhanced. The fonts and the colors of the sample programs could be also enhanced for emphasis. And please ensure also that the videos uploaded in the Moodle are of good quality and runs in different devices. For the different materials used, please acknowledge the source, especially those videos uploaded. Provide proper referencing and formatting of the different resources or sources. And that would be all. And once again, congratulations to Mr. Santosim. Once again, good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carpon. Now for the comments, suggestions, and review for agriculture, fishery, and marine biology. Please welcome Dr. Ronely Salvador from the University of Eastern Philippines. Hello, sir. May we hear from Dr. Salvador? Is he here in the list of participants of this Zoom meeting? Let's try to check. Or let's just proceed first to the comments, suggestions, and review for the presentation for accounting, business, and management. Let's have Dr. Vicente Soltillo Jr. from Biliran Province State University.
Good afternoon. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. My respect to the Chief Commissioner, Dr. Aldrin Idarilag, who is the brainchild of the Eastern-Visayas Higher Education Institutions Flexible Learning Management System Consortium, Director Colorado, CHED Director, the different SOC presidents, fellow evaluators, demo teaching presenters, and the faculty members watching this demo teaching presentation. Good afternoon. I would like to thank our university president, Dr. Victor C. Canizo Jr., for recommending me to be one of the evaluators on this demo teaching presentation via online in the field of accountancy, business, and management. The EVHEIs-FLMSC and the people behind for giving me this opportunity to be part of this endeavor. I hope I will be able to help the presenter as well as the other faculty members who are watching to improve their presentations. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate the presenter for the job well done. Okay, so these are my observations. I was amazed on how the presenter was able to present her topic via online in such a very natural, powerful, and clear manner. The modulation and the tone of her voice, the pacing of the words, and the language used was very appropriate. In other words, the topic was delivered effectively and efficiently without much effort on her part. She was not nervous or whatever, so the presentations were very impressive. Thus, I would like to commend her for that. Another observation, the syllabus was being provided by the presenter and it was fully discussed by her, and I admire her for that. As far as the content is concerned, I noticed that the presenter was able to compare pricing to the other piece of the marketing mix, such as the product, promotion, and place, which is good. I appreciate that since it will enlighten more the knowledge of the students. As I also agree that price or pricing as the element of marketing mix produces or generates revenues to the company, while the other piece are purely what the company has to incur or spend, or it is the element which produces cost. Another, the presenter was able to use infographics to give example. These are very good because it enhances the students' interest. And she was telling that pricing is what the company executives really getting headaches of. Because if your decision is to increase the price of your commodities or services in order that you could cover the cost that you have incurred in the production as well as in the operation of your business, then you would expect the negative effect, such as there will be low demand of your customers on the commodities or services you offered to them because they could not afford to buy the product. However, if you're going to lower the price of that commodities, then of course you will expect that there will be increase in demand. But the problem is you will suffer loss because you will not be able to cover the cost in producing the products or the expenses in the operation of your business. So pricing would really give headaches to the company executives. I agree. And some companies even fail because of the wrong pricing strategy. It is called pricing strategy because through proper pricing of the products or services, you may be able to put the right direction of your company or business future. So I appreciate the presenter for giving that discussions to the students. I noticed also that the presenter failed to provide more assessments. Like for instance, aside from requiring the students to give their ideas or meaning about the price, she may give assessment like showing the products and services to the students and require them to fix their own price for that particular commodities or services. Then ask their reasons or basis for fixing those prices. Through it, she could elicit more ideas from them, and it will truly help in giving more knowledge to the students. Then, the rubric as well should be provided in the assessment. I have noticed that there was no rubric provided. As to the use of model, I think it was not complete or was not fully exhibited. It needs more enhancement to integrate all activities in the LMS. I suggest that she have to ask assistance from their IT experts to be able to develop an effective presentation through Moodle platform and to be able to navigate effectively and successfully in this new normal. But all in all, the presentation were very impressive. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Biliran Province State University, through Dr. Vic Solteo for that comments and suggestions to the accounting, business, and management discipline. Moving on, we are going to hear the review for the health education. May we call on Dr. Joel Ray Akub from Visayas State University.
Good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon, sir.
Okay, so I'll go straightly to my comments. First, I would like to commend Professor Romero for preparing the topic on the fundamental.
Sir Joel is here.
Yes, hello. Hello.
Yeah, you're okay, sir.
Okay. So I repeat commending Mr. Romero for.
Maybe he has some problems with the audio.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I can proceed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first, I'd like to give the positive part of my comment, meaning the strength of the presentation. First is the presenter was able to present the material in a clear, possible way. Presenter as well is able to define basic concepts in pharmacology, which is commendable. And generally, the content meets the requirement as expected by the course in terms of appropriateness to the curriculum. The compiler was able to manage the navigation feature of the utilized application. And I'll also have some points to at least to enhance the material. So the proponent mentioned of a disclaimer at the starting portion of the presentation. He mentioned that the minimum requirement is to at least acquiring stable cognitivity while doing the course. If I may suggest that the proponent should also include and express that whatever brand name or branding or patents or even explanations does not necessarily reflect that of the university stand. It was noted that the proponent mentioned drug name about paracetamol and ibuprofen or approving authority like BFAD and FDA and the like doesn't mean endorsement from his end. It should be cleared that all explanations to support the material are all outputs of the component and was made for the purpose of discussion. So there was also a portion which is purpose of the module to develop knowledge and understanding of pharmacology in terms of medical terminologies and abbreviations. Note that our audience are nurses and not medical students. Therefore, it is suggested that a nursing term should be incorporated over medical terms. Though nursing is medically inclined profession, but pharmacologically wise, they differ. I have not seen abbreviation at the entire module presentation as what objective has promised. So I suggest that the proponent may include some basic and universally acceptable terms such as PRN or STAP or RX in order to communicate timing and duration and even the route of giving medication, which is one of the major functions of nursing. The proponent also mentioned CAM, or complementary and alternative medicine, which is not evident in the presentation. For the pretest, I believe that pretests are questions which would more or less assess or determine the level of current understanding even without the discussion. As observed, the proponent made 5-item matching type of drug and the respective source, which serves less the purpose of doing such. It is suggested that the pretest items should at least be given or should at least embody salient points of the mode and objectives. More so, the pretest should be given chronologically based on the objectives so that by the time when you check each item, you can even start with the discussion to clear things out. The processing or the pretest rationalization, meaning you have to discuss why A and B is not the answer and the like, is an enriching opportunity to iron out gray areas and even correct the myth, if there are any, of the subject matter. For the learning objectives, objectively speaking, the learning outcomes presented are specific and attainable only. We have to remember that this should possess the SMART characteristic. It is encouraged to indicate the time being and way to measure or gauge that a learner, after completing the module, was able to grasp the essential components of the material. I would like also to commend the presenter of defining pharmacology. That's very good. However, you need to include equally important topics or terms such as pharmacodynamics or pharmacokinetics, meaning we need to include in the discussion or in your presentation of how the body, a specific drug after administration, or how the drug is altered as it travels through the body, or how the drug is doing in the body, or what are the possible side effects or expected or fatal reaction when taking that drug. I'm telling this because this would help form the nursing responsibility of our student, which should be expected at the end of this module. What independent actions can be done as an immediate response when the patient manifests these reactions? Another thing, the proponent also mentioned about stages of drug evaluation, the different phases, 1, 2, and 3. No? And I observed it was redundantly reflected in the material. Know that as we put premium on the topic, perhaps this is very important, but to repetitively present it is a different thing. I strongly suggest that the concept of drug evaluation should be presented in a diagram or a process flow to illustrate or emphasize progression from the conceptual of that drug to trials, to preclinical trials, until consumed by human samples, and until finally approved for market consumption. I am certain that learners will have a better grasp when presented that way. For the objective, let us also make sure that the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes are but reflected. As observed during the presentation, most, if not all, are gearing towards knowledge. Sometimes we forgot how to inculcate skills. Perhaps you will include part of the learning task, which is simple conversion, perhaps, or a positive attitude towards dealing patients taking medications. The objective 5, citing the importance of nurses, the role of nurses in drug research, which I haven't seen this. As a suggestion, you can use this objective as a requirement for them to search and be given corresponding points. You can even ask them to write perhaps a 100-word about their stance on the role of nurses in drug research, and out from their thought, thematic analysis can be implemented, and you have your research at no cost, publishable at that. For objective 8, I have not seen the application of the nursing process in the presentation. You also presented glossary of words. I commend the effort of consolidating all those words. However, I would encourage to eliminate some other terms, though important, but of lesser relevance. I mean, we have to decide whether this item is a nice to know thing or a must to know thing. Example, you defined gene, and our students are nursing students. Yes, this is good, but this is of lesser importance this time. Another suggestion, you can assign them to look for these terms prior to the module or virtual interaction. You can even include these terms as part of your pre-test to gauge their prior knowledge or if they really conducted advanced reading or research about the topic. Another thing, you presented a slide with a heading, Use of Drugs. You included contraceptive drug as to prevent pregnancy. My suggestion, please be very careful because not all contraceptive drug prohibits pregnancy, so much so that all clients taking contraceptive pill wanted to restrict episodes of getting pregnant. Others are advised to take pill as corrective management for some gynecological problems, hormonal imbalances, or estrogenic in nature. If so, how do you consider this drug usage? Is it symptomatic? Is it curative or contraceptive? Another thing, one of your slides highlighted that those participating in clinical trials should be healthy and young men. In your post-test item number 2, you mentioned young women. I have two points to raise. First, please go back with the history during the period where women were not yet given equal rights that of men. In terms of contraceptives, again, women are considered the point of interest in the trial for vaccine for cervical cancer. If so, then we need to revisit that particular slide or completely discuss the condition behind that line. Another point, in the gender lens, please refrain from specifically assigning sexes for the purposes of giving examples. Lastly, since I have not seen CAM or complementary and alternative medicine, you can utilize this as a learning task or form of assessment in the guide with a guide question. You may ask your student, what are the commonly used alternative and complementary medicine to the respective communities? And what are those particular diseases concerning that they have to take this medication? Again, when you do this, this is a simple descriptive survey. You can generate research knowledge and you can publish. If you already acquired the survey result, make an extension program out from it. So at least the fourfold mandate of SUC or HEIs are met: instruction, research, extension, and production of knowledge. And when you publish, you can actually include that as an example in your future instruction endeavor. Finally, I have not seen the reference in your material, which is encouraged to be taking part. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joel Ray Akov from Visayas State University, giving his comments and suggestions for the improvement of the learning module for health education. Now let's have the expert evaluator for maritime education. We have Mr. Gregorius Laurentius Maria Brower. Good afternoon, sir.
Hope you can hear me. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I saw the presentation, and it's just, the presentation of Ms. Daisy was quite okay, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I got it a little bit late, so I couldn't have a deep view on the content. But what I've seen is very encouraging. What I saw, so the way she built her page, starting with the syllabus, which is of course very important. It's there. I see how she uses the buttons. It's quite easy for students to navigate through the system. They can go back and forth and reread it. Only thing, I didn't have a clear view if there was all the references available. I couldn't see that. That's something that is going to be of major importance for using online materials. So you have to always give a reference where it comes from, your source outlines. What I saw, it's use of videos is very appropriate. It's useful. It's getting students interested in the subject that you are handling. So yeah, all in all, I like the presentation, Ms. Daisy, very much. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but that's clear. But, yeah, I was very satisfied. I want to compliment her on what she accomplished in this short time that she's using Moodle. As I used Moodle from, I think, beginning of 2000 when it was just started. Moodle is also changed a lot. It's a very good platform for using as a teacher platform where you can help students to always have access to their materials, the modules, and what they need to learn. Also, the use of assessments is quite okay. Yeah, I think she can widen it much more, have more questioning, have more different types of questions. There's a lot of possibilities in Moodle, but the start is very hopeful as far as I can see it. This was about my my comments for her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Brower, for that comments and suggestions. And now we are going to hear again our two invited evaluators, starting with Dr. Glenda Cadiente for the 6 remaining presenters that we have this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Elizabeth, once again.
Good afternoon, Ma'am.
Okay, to Commissioner Darilag, to Director, to our Regional Director, to Director Colorado, the SUC Presidents, the evaluators, and the teachers, professors who are present. There are about 6 presentations for this afternoon, and I guess most of the comments were already given by the evaluator. So I'll just be covering, or I will just be giving giving comments, especially those that were not covered by the evaluators. Okay, so to start off, the first presenter for this afternoon from NWSSU, the module is quite, the topic actually is quite challenging because this is mathematics. But I also commend the writer presenter because there is a clear track of the topics in the as provided in the syllabus. Okay, however, as I have said earlier, the lesson is very challenging for students because it is math. And I also hope that the presenter has clearly considered designing this module either synchronously or asynchronously in context, because if this is synchronous, I wouldn't mind the exercises. Okay, however, asynchronously, this would require a lot of imagination. Again, the processing is crucial. And I also noticed that there is limited interactivity because when I was looking at the PDF version of the module, it could not be reproduced in the written version. However, in the demo, there was actually some kind of a random participation of students, okay, and it actually targeted hypothetical discussion questions that pertains to gaining these derivatives, okay, as a term in mathematics, which the students were able to take advantage of and discuss. However, as I've said, it was not actually part of the module in the printed version. So it was understandably, this is just random. So I would really appreciate if in the revision of the module, this is going to be included so that the strategy that was actually used in this particular um, activity could be benefited by the students. Okay. We should also remember that most especially in mathematics, assessment can be really very crucial because it actually requires actual student performance. If it is asynchronously done, we wouldn't really know who is actually doing the solving, whatever. Okay, so that is why when I looked at the module and there is a provision of answer to the exercises, I look at it as very helpful because for someone who's still, for example, new and testing the waters, he could try out I mean, it's not going to be threatening for the student because the answers have already been provided and it's only for the student to confirm whether he got it or the student got it right and improve it or find a better way to do it so that the answer that the student got is in congruence with what was provided by the professor. But all in all, the presentation was successful, and if these suggestions and comments, including mine, would be followed, then there will be no problem or very tolerable problems. I say once you are once this is going to be presented to your students. Okay, so the next one from EVSU, as to MC programming, I must admit that in terms of design, effectiveness, sources, aesthetics, navigation, and multimedia, plus the link and the sources, they got it because, of course, this is their area of expertise. So navigation and content description is very strong and very, very comprehensive. In fact, I would say it is actually student-centered. There is provision for activities for each major topic as, I would say, mini assessment. The flow of discussion is also thorough and consistent all throughout the module. However, the feedback is not clearly demonstrated in the module. So I would also suggest that the feedback be given attention when you do the revision. So congratulations. For the third one, this is equally interesting, oceanography from VSU. At first, I find it actually difficult to listen to the presentation because of, I don't know what's, perhaps there was something wrong in the recording. So the voice is rather deep. But the module itself has, well, I have very good reviews of it because it has a description of the learning outcomes, the requirements, and expected output that the students are expected to turn in. The grading system was also very clear. I also commend them because the module recognizes the students of the available resources as basis for the design of the module. For instance, there was a pre-survey of the students' resources, which is very, very well appreciated because, of course, knowing how limited the students' resources are, for someone to design it on the basis of the students' availability in terms of the tools that they are using, that's really a feat. And the links are also well provided, and navigation is also very well designed. It in fact allows students to explore other options, okay, and exploring these options also open up to provide students hone their what you call digital command skills. So that would be all for VSU. Congratulations also for the well-crafted module about oceanography. Okay, so the fourth one is from UEP. The topic is also very interesting because it's about marketing. Well, first off, recording quality must also be improved. Although, of course, perhaps this is might be due to preparation limitations because we do have a schedule to beat. But in the actual presentation or creation of the module, which you are going to present to your students, you also have to make sure that there is noise reduction so that when you present this to your students, it will be crisp. And the overview was also uniquely presented because it was a separate video. It was not actually a part of the main video that was presented as in the module. I also find it very unique that you maximize PowerPoint features as a platform also, because of course we all know the benefits of PowerPoint presentation, and we have been using that in our face-to-face lectures or face-to-face meetings with our students. And it's still a delight that you still are able to utilize this particular features of the PPT in the module. However, my concern is also about the photo credits that should be provided consistently. And although, of course, I have to admit that I have not seen the PDF version of your module. So the topic is very, as I've said, very interesting because it was able to realistically present it in the most, in our context, which is what students are supposed to become aware of, okay? However, I was also looking at the assessment part, and although you do have activities, but it was rather curtailed and hurried. I don't know, perhaps it has something to do with the technicalities of the presentation. I am not really sure, but whatever it is, the interactivity involving the students is rather limited. Although I really commend the lecture part using the PowerPoint. I also suggest that because this is a very realistic topic, you also have to maximize the opportunity to provide activity questions to be provided to your students, targeting their critical thinking ability. Okay? But all in all, congratulations for crafting it close to a very, very good one with a minimal revision. This could become a highly sought module which your students could visit. Okay, so for the fifth one, for BIPSU, I think this is about the pharmacology. I also, my take is that this topic is also highly technical. But, well, in terms of the navigability of the contents in the LMS, it's very commendable. But looking at all the presentations, your LMS, the LMS of the SUCs seem to resemble to each other. And this is actually, well, in a good way, it's a good sign because it gives us the message that we as SUCs have already started to embrace the new mode of learning. Now, the module is clearly synchronously designed, and it is very clear in the module because it has commands. Like, for example, the students are supposed to log in, and there is a provision for time and the duration. Okay. However, I'm just wondering how, for example, students without internet access can also avail of the lesson. Okay. So maybe you can also provide access to an asynchronous design. Okay. And I also appreciate the activities that were generously provided. Okay. So congratulations also to BIPSU for that. And the last but not the least, this is also very interesting because from PIT, Meteorology and Oceanography. Yes, overview is also clearly provided with descriptions, with outcomes and purpose. You also have the requirements set for your students as well as the tracks. Okay, and for students that is very important because of course they also want to know what this is all about, what is expected of me, where am I going, or where this particular course is actually going. I also admire the use of video as a useful material to entice them to study the course. Okay. The module also utilized PPT as a platform, but again, sources, the photo credits, they should be consistently provided. However, there is one important thing that I have to share to all of the presenters and the teachers who are listening, that when you're using a video lecture, it's not just video per se, but a video lecture, it could be good if you also provide a transcription, which the students can access because the students can also have the option to just read the transcript if something goes wrong. Like, for example, the video cannot play. Another is if, for example, the video lecture is coming from someone who is an L1 speaker, and because we are L2 speakers, and your students might actually find it difficult to follow because of the accent or the delivery is very fast. So students can actually rely on the transcript just in case they don't really get some words clearly. Okay, so that would also help them, and they can always go back to it even if the video can't be they can't play the video anymore because of, let's say, for example, there's an error in downloading, or if they access it online and it's just that internet is so slow, so they could actually still access it offline. And the last is in the activity section. I noticed that most of the the topics or the content is on knowledge check. And while this is fine, I think you also have to maximize the fact that this is a highly interesting topic, which is closely related to the social and the social world. So the knowledge check could have been advanced to a more socially relevant environmental discussion to promote, say, socially or environmentally responsible students. That would be all for my comments. Congratulations to all of the presenters of the SUCs. I turn you over to Ma'am Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Such a genius review of the presentations. And now let's hear once again our invited evaluator, another invited evaluator, Dr. Robertino Macalde.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, congratulations to everyone. Also to the evaluators for your very succinct, excellent evaluation of what happened. It seems that given the very short period of engagement, you already came up with this excellent materials. This afternoon's discussion is a bit interesting on my part in the sense that I am not truly familiar with all of those things that we're talking about, but I did learn a lot from the discussions, especially those that are new for me, to me, specifically those that concerns meteorology and other stuff. Again, since late this morning, I presented my comments by a PowerPoint presentation. So I will do the same today. So here are they. May I encourage you once more to a short review of what happened during the webinar sessions earlier. If I'm not mistaken, there were 2 webinars for the consortium. These are the design options if you want to pursue as far as developing your own programs, your learning materials, and other things. Do consider the modality. Do you want it fully online? But considering again that not everyone has an online access in the area, you might as well, while I am not prescribing, you might as well talk about looking at a blended approach in your approach. The pacing, you should also consider that, whether you want to do it on your own or you want the students to do it on your own, or you want to be there as part of the activity when they're accessing the LMS. I have not asked, I think I've asked this earlier, how many students are you looking at participating in your respective classes? Are you still looking at a 50 to 1 ratio or 35 or 15? The ideal, actually, if the intention is just purely a synchronous session, the ideal is between 15 to 20. That's the ideal if the session is purely a synchronous session. You also need to consider the pedagogy, your online assessments. You also need to consider that, your role, as mentioned, whether you want to be active or you just want to be there shortly or briefly, or you don't want to be there. You want your student to take care of everything on their own. That's the role of the students also. And then the synchrony, whether you want to continue doing synchronous sessions. I noticed some of you have mentioned that you're doing your chat session. You need to identify how many hours are you allocating for the chat session and how many hours for the asynchronous or the forum session and other things. And then the feedbacking. You also need to make sure that they receive feedback, especially for their submitted assignments. You might want to consider whether you want the LMS. Actually, the LMS can do it on its own. There's just a plugin that you need to place there. Or you want to do a teacher feedback or a peer review session or something. That's part of your learning design. These are specific comments that you might want to consider embedding in your. I did not talk about individual presentations. I rather do it on a general to do it generally in the sense that it's better for everyone, since some of you have done this or some of you have not done it. So again, similar to my earlier comment to the earlier presentation, it would be better to identify just one tool for communication. There are possibilities that if you have one or more tools, then you might end up being confused on whether you are doing it for school purposes or these email messages are for personal or other stuff. You it will be difficult actually to open too many emails or too many messages through the LMS. Just choose one and then make that as the official communication tool for your session or for your class. In creating a module or your do create a module. When you create a module, do identify better if you have some sort of a 2-pager or 3-pager or even a simple infographic providing the policies, the grading system. I noticed some of you have mentioned about the grading system, how we graded the assessment requirements, but you have not mentioned about the percentages. What level would be given for, what percentage would be given for the assignments, for the exercises and other stuff. You need to mention that for purposes of uniformity and also to make sure that they understand what you're saying. If you intend to include synchronous sessions and asynchronous session, you need to inform them how many hours will be needed for the, let's say, chat session. How many hours? Does it equal to, would it be equal to a typical meeting, face-to-face meeting? Would it be 3 hours a week, 1 hour a week, or 3 hours a week, or 3 hours per day or something? Please do identify that as early as the time that you're doing your session. Specifically also, you need to mention how many hours or minutes or something do they need to spend as regards the use of the learning management system. This is different from the actual chat session. Chat session, you can tell them, okay, you spend 3 hours for the chat session or 3 hours for the forum session. But what about the actual use of the Moodle, your learning management system? How many hours are they supposed to contribute to the discussion? I noticed also some of you have presented videos, exciting videos actually, and so I actually call them adapted or borrowed materials. Do consider at the start of the session citing or attributing your sources and identify newer sources as well. I noticed the printed versions that we received earlier. There were some sources that are actually as old as 1984. Unfortunately, some experts actually abhor getting old resources when in fact there are a number of newer information that are available right now. I think this is in regard to the suggestion of my co-evaluator earlier. You need to differentiate your approach. As regards those with or without internet access should be considered. First, you need to tell them, will there be differences in terms of grades if I'm doing or participating in a different approach? If I'm not viewing a video because there's no internet access, so will my grade be different from the ones who are doing it, participating in the online session because they have internet access? Those things. Some other approaches, perhaps, if I believe in sorry, I believe in certain areas in the Philippines there are some problems in the internet, specifically downloading or uploading. So perhaps you might want to consider saving your materials and distributing them, or just asking them for, let us say, a USB or any available storage. Tell them, okay, these are the materials that we'll be using. So we'll be using this for, let's say, 4 months. So these are the materials that will be used for this week, second week, third week, and so on. So you get a copy as early as now, so that when the time comes that you'll not be able to participate in the session, the online sessions, this would be your alternative. This is in regard to the first activity, the first presenter. Sorry, I might end up saying it. Although I found it interesting doing computations online, specifically in Zoom. My suggestion, Zoom and other video conferencing tools actually have these so-called whiteboard functions. This is similar to a face-to-face session when you have your whiteboard or you have your chalkboard, and each one can actually contribute and compute. This would be interesting actually, especially if you have a good internet access for your activity. That would be a good source of interesting and appropriate activity, especially for computations like this. I also noticed one of the modules, or one of the materials in the module mentioning about this is because we are in the pandemic, we have some difficulties because of this. This will be doing this kind of activity instead. I suppose there is no need to mention that, because we're actually doing this online activity because we're in a pandemic, and technically speaking, this is our new normal. So we need to emphasize to them that this is our new normal. So whether you like it or not, this is how we will be teaching you now. Whether we are doing it we cannot do it face to face at the moment. So we're doing it blended in the sense that we can give you printed versions of our materials, or you can participate online like everybody else. Additional comments, additional suggestions. Do take advantage. Zoom, our learning management system, the Moodle in particular, actually have a online registration process embedded in the LMS, in the system itself. Grading, feedbacking, synchronous or chat session, asynchronous session, even attendance monitoring are actually included in the Moodle. You can actually download it, including grades. Once you have inputted the grades, you can actually, in the programmer can even make the grades downloadable. The learners can actually download all of those grades and everything else every time you provide them with your comments, feedback, and other things. Others, do consider creating a landing page similar to this one, whether it's mobile or desktop version. I believe if you're using the newer version of the Moodle, you can actually embed it into a mobile version. There's a mobile version. What I meant by mobile version, that means whatever you see in the desktop version, it's actually the same in the mobile version. Even the functionalities and everything else. Do consider creating a landing page for purposes of making sure that the learners will be able to understand where do they get all of these things, materials, and what is in store, something like that. Especially if you have this journals or other materials that you want to share, you can actually place it here, and among other things, even the calendar and everything else. In terms of preparing your materials, do consider preparing your materials by way of a 4A's approach, or the adult learning process approach. Before you perform your lectures or your other activities, please do consider embedding an activity, perhaps similar to what happened earlier on the issue on the topic on meteorology, where the presenter presented a video that could be considered an activity, perhaps if the presenter included some sort of a reflection exercise immediately after seeing the video. That could form part of the activity. And then realign or relink the activity, let's say the video, into the actual topic before going into the abstraction, which is your lecture on the meteorology and others. There are, if the bandwidth is actually good. Again, do consider this. We have prepared this earlier for another university. We call them the learning tools options. If depending on your activity, if your idea is to do content creation, if you have high bandwidth, if they're familiar with mind mapping actually is some sort of I want to write something. These are the things that I need to look at. These are the words. These are the things that the relationship of one word to another word. If you have high bandwidth, Google is the one way of doing mind mapping. Puplet is another. These are Puplet, and the difference between Google and Puplet actually provides you with video, pictures. It's as looking at the same mind mapping, but this time you're presenting by way of pictures instead of words. Google, you're actually presenting your concerns via words. Puplet would be via picture. In terms of survey, you can do type form. Survey and other activities, especially if you have long activities like perhaps something like this one, you can embed survey in between, especially if you, let us say the session would last for about 4 hours. In between the session, you can include some sort of polling exercises. The best approach if you have high bandwidth is by type form. In terms of communication, again, if you have high bandwidth, you can include Zoom as a video, some sort of an activity via video conferencing. But do note there are some rules as regards video conferencing in terms of doing it via class. One of the requirements is, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned this in the session, the last session, the requirements, Zoom activities, Harvard actually is not prescribing, but rather suggesting that if you have sessions, better for everyone's camera to be open. So for purposes of synchronicity and for purposes of making sure that the attention is there. For documentation, the other approach would be by way of Google Doc or other things. In terms of preparing your materials, again, I've noticed that some of you are mentioning about learning objectives while others are talking about learning outcomes. Do decide this early whether you want to identify, you want to present your activities or objectives by way of a learning objectives or by learning outcomes. If you do identify learning outcomes or learning activities, do make sure there's such a thing. If you're not familiar, there's such a thing as the Bloom's taxonomy in e-learning. Do make use of the terms, the verb that Bloom has mentioned there. Instead of saying I understand, you're expecting to understand. Why not use these words for purposes of making sure that they are actually applying the things that you want them, the expected outcomes for each of the participant or learners. I actually do not recommend that you present your materials by way of PDF. This does not necessarily look good. That's one thing, because you have to stretch the image in order to see the materials. If your decision is to do it by PDF, better ask them to print it instead of reading it in their respective computers or screens. Better if you do some sort of an interactive format. Text should be interactive. Gutenberg actually mentions about the pattern of reading. They call it the Z approach, the Z pattern. Most of us actually read from left to right. So, and then you go down and then left to right again. So that's the C pattern. So for purposes of presenting your text, you probably need to consider the Gutenberg approach in the text discussion and other things. This was actually mentioned earlier today, so I decided to include it once more. You can actually add other activities like gaming in your design, in your learning design. There are a number of free games available via internet through the open educational resources. You can just simply download or make use of them or just ask them to access that game. Even the educational games are actually there. We call it the adult games. you can simply ask them to access it, and then the question actually is for you. Sorry. The next approach actually is for you to ask the sensible questions immediately after, the reflective questions. You simply ask them to do reflective exercises immediately after doing the game. Games, according to experts, actually encourages students to develop strategic thinking in a very gameful way. So this is an alternative. Instead of videos, you might want to do gaming, because a lot of students are now into gaming anyway. So take advantage of their requirements. Okay, so that's it for me. So again, thank you and congratulations everyone for a job well done. And to the consortium, to the officials of the consortium, to our officials from the Commission on Higher Education. Congratulations everyone. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me again.
Okay, once again, thank you so much, Dr. Macalbe, and to all the evaluators for giving such an in-depth, focus, and thorough review and evaluation of the different presentations. And to all the presenters, to our online teaching demonstrators, congratulations for coming up with that remarkable presentations. The presentations of the online teaching demonstrators and the review, comments, and suggestions of the evaluators show the creativity, ingenuity, and dexterity of both the presenters and evaluators. And we are indeed grateful and appreciative for that, to them for sharing their expertise and their insights in making our classes still interesting, challenging, and engaging in this new normal. And with that, we would like to award this certificate of recognition. And may I read to you the citation? May I ask, Sir Ludi? Okay. May I read to you the citation? Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Engineer John Alvin L. Macariola for his invaluable and meritorious service extended as online teaching demonstrator during the webinar entitled Traversing the Disrupted Education Landscape, a showcase of self-developed modules in online classes, given on July 30, 2020, and given this 30th day of July 2020. Signed, Dr. Edgardo E. Tulin, President of the Visayas State University, Dr. Pros Ivy Yepes, University President of Southern Leyte State University, and Dr. Victor C. Cañezo Jr., University President, Biliran Province State University. What about a resounding virtual applause to our presenter? Same certificate is given to Dr. Christopher A. Duran. Yay, we have the sound. And we also give the same certificate to Engineer Peter Anthony C. Pitilia. I cannot forget the sexy. And I love the trigonometry this time. Same certificate is given to Mr. Eric O. Santasing. Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Professor Art Russell R. Flandes. We also award certificate of recognition to Ms. Darlene Joy Udtuhan. Here we go. And the same certificate of recognition is awarded to Mr. Hani Rowe Romero. Next, we have certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Ms. Daisy Mar Pitoy. And that completes our online teaching demonstrators. Now for the certificate of recognition, we will also award certificate of recognition to our expert evaluators and invited evaluators. May I read to you the citation? Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Dr. Robertino Macalde for his invaluable and meritorious service extended as expert evaluator during the webinar entitled Traversing the Disrupted Educational Landscape, a showcase of self-developed modules in online classes on July 30, 2020. Given this 30th day of July 2020, signed Dr. Edgardo E. Tulin, Dr. Pros Ivy Yepes, and Dr. Victor C. Cañeso Jr. What about a resounding applause? Virtual resounding applause. This, yay. Same certificate of recognition is awarded to Dr. Glenda D. Cadiente. Next, we have certificate of recognition is given to Dr. Danilo B. Pulma. We also award certificate of recognition to Dr. Aluna Midalia Gabihan. The same certificate of recognition is awarded to Dr. Constantino G. Midelu Jr. We also award certificate of recognition to Dr. Levi G. Ismero. And the same certificate of recognition is awarded to Ms. Christy S. Carpon. We would also like to award certificate of recognition to Dr. Ronalie C. Salvador. We would also like to award certificate of recognition to Dr. Vicente Q. Soltillo Jr. And we also give the certificate of recognition to Dr. Joel Ray Acob. And the same certificate is awarded to Mr. Shok Brower. I really have a hard time in pronouncing his name correctly. So that's it. We have awarded the certificates of recognition to our presenters and evaluators. And now to formally close this whole day webinar session, we would like to call in the president of Southern Leyte State University, Dr. Pros Ivy Yepes.
To our very dynamic, innovative, and visionary SHED Commissioner, Dr. Aldrin Darilag, SHED Region 8 Director, Dr. George Colorado, fellow SUC presidents, the competent and excellent online teaching demonstration presenters from the 10 SUCs, and of course, the equally competent evaluators, our guest expert evaluators, Dr. Robbie Bacalde from CIMEO Enotech and Mr. Gregorius Laurentius Maria Brewer, all faculty members of the 10 SUCs in the region, a blessed afternoon to everyone. It was indeed a long day, but rather productive, right? Indeed, the Eastern-Visayas Higher Education Institutions Flexible Learning Management System Consortium has gone a long way since the time that Commissioner Daridag, together with my fellow SUC presidents in the region, started to conceptualize the establishment of this consortium for flexible learning management system last May 8, 2020. After the series of webinars on flexible learning modalities, techniques, and content, and webinar workshops that we have conducted on LMS administration, how to use the model-based LMS platforms and other features, the module production and evaluation. Our beloved faculty members are now becoming more capable and more confident to traverse to a better new normal. Truly, the academics of the 10 SUCs in the region have manifested their commitment to upskill and reskill themselves on module preparation, on how to choose which appropriate technologies will be used and how these technologies will be maximized in order to continue to deliver quality instruction despite the pandemic. To all the presenters from Samar State University, Leyte Normal University, Southern Leyte State University, Eastern Samar State University, Northwest Samar State University, Eastern-Visayas State University, Visayas State University, University of Eastern Philippines, Biliran Province State University, and Palompon Institute of Technology, my warmest congratulations for our job. Very well done. Of course, after listening to the observations and recommendations given by the equally competent experts and evaluators, we continue to commit for continual improvement, hence revisions, enhancements of our learning modules, our learning packets should follow. Barely 2 or 3 weeks from today, the academic year 2020-2021 will be opened. And on behalf of the SUC presidents in Region 8, I'd like to share my impression, and I hope you will agree that we are almost ready to face and embrace the new learning environment while we are not yet allowed to do face-to-face or residential classes. To all the evaluators from the 10 SUCs, especially to Dr. Roby Macalde of Simeo Inotech and Dr. Glenda Cadiente of Leyte Normal University, thank you very much for accepting our humble invitation and for helping us see how we can improve the modules that we have developed thus far. To my training and capacity building teammates, representing the 10 SUCs in the region, please accept my heartfelt thanks, for without your inputs, your cooperation, through the full support of your respective SUC presidents, this very important activity of the consortium will not become successful and fruitful. Finally, let me leave this beautiful quotation, one of my favorite quotations, and allow me to read. Excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. As a consortium for flexible learning management system, let us continue to collaborate, share resources. Let's continue to learn, relearn, and unlearn to attain excellence. And let's all together have that vision to see hindrances, hardships, difficulties as opportunities to grow and to become better. God bless everyone, and good afternoon. Have a happy long weekend.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pros Ivy Yepes. And to everyone, just an announcement, link is provided for the evaluation of this activity. So again, stay safe everyone. God bless, and let's enjoy the long weekend in improving our learning modules.
Yeah.
Okay, bye and God bless.
Can I have this opportunity
Yes, ma'am.
To remind everyone that on August 3 and 4, we'll be having an equally important event for the consortium for all the faculty members, the 3,998 faculty members of the 10 SUCs in the region. The webinars will be on the integration of training activities that we have had with the Apprentice Asia winner in 2019, Mr. Jonathan Yabot, as our inspirational speaker. So do not miss the 3 very interesting topics that he will be engaging with us. On August 3, call time 9 o'clock to 11, and August 4, 9 to 10 in the morning. Thank you once again. Good afternoon.
Okay. Let's mark those dates, August 3 and 4. Good afternoon.